All right, I'm waiting for till I have everyone's attention. Knox, will you go up and look on the table in front of the smart board, and there's a hand there. Will you go get it and bring it to me? It's a stack of them. All right, we are going to look at those shoes again today. Before we do, I want to look at some of our vocabulary words that we talked about. What does the word nudge mean? What did it mean to nudge someone, Weldon? A gentle touch or a gentle pudge. That's a push and a nudge together, a pudge. Yeah, just to get someone's attention for something. Shh, Brenna, you're looking at me. So today in your working notebook, in your reading section, it says, you might nudge someone to let them know it's their turn. Why else might you nudge someone? So something, I don't want you to tell me now, something for you to think about. Like if you're playing a game and it's someone's turn and you nudge them, hey, it's your turn. Why else might you gently nudge someone or tap them to get their attention? Okay? Very good. All right, so yesterday we read those shoes. Today we're going to really talk about the main character. Who was the main character yesterday? Hannah?
His grandma.
No, his grandma was not the main character.
I forgot his name.
Kinley? Jeremy. Kinley, will you flip up because you listen. You always knows what's going on.
I thought it.
Jackson? No. So in this story, Jeremy encountered a couple of problems, a couple of situations where he had to make some decisions. So what was his first problem? I'm going to show you a picture just to give you a clue. What was his first problem, Maddox?
He wanted those shoes.
He wanted those shoes, but why was that a problem?
Because everybody else had them, and he wanted them so bad. He was begging his parents, and then he finally got.
But why couldn't he get those shoes?
They cost way too much.
They cost too much, and his grandmother, evidently he lives with his grandmother. His grandmother didn't have enough money. So we know he wanted those shoes. What was something he did or something he said, and how do you think he felt? How he responded to that problem? How do you know he wanted those shoes, Hudson?
He felt like jealous that he wanted those shoes that they had.
I think jealous is probably a good word. That's when you want something that somebody else has. And he always talked about, well, they have these shoes. Everybody has these shoes. I want those shoes. That's all he talked about. So he always talked about those shoes. He always looked at those shoes. And I think he probably felt a little jealous because he wanted those shoes. All right. Knox?
I think he felt a little left out.
He might have felt left out because everybody had those shoes except who didn't have the shoes? Jeremy and Jackson?
I think it was
Antonio.
Right.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be yelling out.
I was thinking
Yeah.
it was Antonio.
It was Antonio. All right, so what was the next problem he encountered? So he couldn't get those shoes. What's the next problem that happened? What happened to his shoes? Danny?
His grandma had the money, so they went to the store, but they were way too expensive.
His grandma said, I might get you some money, but when they got there, they looked at the price.
And she fell down.
And she just sat down because she was like, wow, I have money, but I don't have enough money. How do you think Jeremy felt then?
I think she had
Kinley, thank you for raising your hand and not yelling out. Sad. There's another word. You're really wanting something to happen, or you really want something and you think it's going to happen and you think you're going to get it and then you don't get it. What's that feeling called, Knox?
devastated.
Well, devastated is a good word. There's another word for it too. Disappointed. But I like devastated too. That's a good word. So I think he really felt disappointed. How do you react sometimes when you don't get things that you want? Do you get mad? Do you cry? Do you throw a fit? Get grumpy? Did he do any of those things? No, he was very, very respectful to his grandmother. He did not get grumpy, throw a fit, cry. He knew that she only had so much money and she didn't have enough money. So he couldn't get them.
I think she had enough money, but she had to spend them on important things they
Had to have, you're right.
maybe
She didn't have enough money for the extra things that they wanted. She had enough money for the things he needed.
Yeah, that's money, and if they didn't have any more money, they couldn't survive.
Right. What did he need? What was it she was saving the money for? What did he need? Jalen? He needed new snow boots because where they live, they needed boots in the winter. All right, so they go to the thrift store. He finds those shoes for $2.50. What is the next problem he encounters? Cammy, they didn't fit. They were too small. But what did he do anyway?
He plied them.
What did he do anyway, Maddox?
He bought them.
He bought them and he crammed his feet in them.
And then he did and then his friend got
Well, we're not there yet. He wore them, but what happened to his feet? Jackson?
They got cramped in there, and he had to curl up his toes to get his heel.
He did. And how did he walk? He walked with a limp. Yeah, when you walk with difficulty. Okay, so he had bandages on his feet. Okay, so we know he really wanted those shoes. He wanted them so bad that what did he do? He wore them even though they hurt. And he said, oh, maybe they'll stretch. That's something he said. All right. So then he has the next problem. He's in class at school one day and he notices Antonio's shoes. They're falling apart. They're taped up with duct tape. Yes. Are you looking for Brady? She's not here this morning. She went to the doctor. She'll be back this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So he looks at Antonio's shoes and he says, his feet look smaller than mine. So what problem does he have now, Kylie?
That he's saying, I'm not gonna do it because he doesn't want to give his shoes up that he really wanted to.
Even though they don't fit. That's right. So he's wrestling. What?
His brain is telling him to give them to Antonio, but he's saying, I'm not gonna give them to Antonio.
Part of him is saying, give them to Antonio, but then there's another part of him that says, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it, even though they don't fit.
On the inside, he's telling him, give him the shoes. Then on the outside, it's not like he's like.
That's right. That's right. If you were Antonio, no, not Antonio, excuse me. If you were Jeremy, would you have done what Jeremy did and given him the shoes? Or would you have kept them for yourself?
I would have given them.
Is he going to be able to wear them?
No, his feet are too big. But Antonio's are small.
So, how do you think Jeremy felt after that? When he gave the shoes that he loved and wanted so bad, when he gave them to Antonio, how do you think he felt? Audie? I think he felt a little excited, okay, because he did something good. He made a good decision. Danny, how do you think he felt?
He felt good and just happy.
Okay. Amelia?
Maybe a little sad.
Can you be happy and sad at the same time?
Yeah. It's called being indifferent.
No, that's not being indifferent. Indifferent means you don't feel anything. When you feel both, kind of happy and sad, that's called bittersweet. Bitter, you're a little sad because you really didn't want to let the shoes go, but you're happy because you did a good thing. That's called being bitter. That's bittersweet.
Are we gonna read?
I am going to read through it one more time. And then I have another story tomorrow that goes well with this story. All right, those shoes. So we've had some really good discussion. Thank you for listening and participating. I have dreams about those shoes, black high tops, 2 white stripes.
It says buy those shoes.
And that's a big billboard advertisement saying, buy those shoes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here. Just need, Grandma says. And what you need are new boots for winter.
Dude's acting kind of plastic. He's probably even drawing a picture of them. He's drawing a picture of
He dreams about them. He just all he can think about.
He's just real funny.
Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow. Next, Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence each get a pair.
But you can't let us go to the bathroom 7 times. That's a girl with high tops.
Yeah, they obviously don't have Miss Ricketts as a teacher.
So they don't know her too.
Then one day, in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy, Mr. Alfrey, the guidance counselor, says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid ever watched. So is he happy about the shoes?
No, but at least he's getting one.
Does he act ungrateful though?
No.
Does he say, I don't like these icky shoes, I'm not wearing them? No, he wears them anyway. Right.
You should be grateful.
When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes and laughs, and so do Terrence, Brandon T, and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonio Parker. At home, Grandma says, how kind of Mr. Alfrey. I nod and turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes, and my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. So if he's holding his pencil so tight, how do you think he feels? Mad, a little frustrated because he got shoes, but were they the shoes he wanted? No, so I think he's a little frustrated.
Everybody's laughing.
Disappointed.
Everybody's listening.
So the author didn't say he was mad or frustrated, but we know he was mad, frustrated, a little disappointed because of the things he did. He almost started crying. All he could think about and see was the word shoes, and he gripped that pencil so hard he thought it might break because he was frustrated. Those are clues that the author has given us about how he feels. On Saturday, Grandma says, let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know. At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy.
She's devastated.
Maybe they wrote it down wrong, I say. Grandma shakes her head.
How much were they?
Oh, it doesn't say, but evidently not.
I think
So,
$200.
here's another place where we infer. Shh, shh. The author doesn't say that. Did it ever say the shoes were too expensive? They cost too much money. Did the author put those words in there?
No.
No, but we've got that mental filing cabinet called our what? Our schema. And we can get, because she looked at the price, she sat down, she shook her head. Those are clues that tell us the shoes were what?
Too
Too expensive.
Since he said they must have wrote the price down, you already know that it's way too expensive. Maybe it's
Then I remember thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his and got 2 pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of shoes in sight. Around the corner in the third thrift shop, I see something in the window.
There's way too small.
And what did thrift mean?
Thrift means
Things people have donated.
and they're too
Uh,
big for them.
Give it away.
Kinley?
Or they just it's things that other people already use, but they give it away.
Passing
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, you're passing it on. Kind of like recycling it. It's secondhand, it's used. Black shoes with 2 white stripes. High tops. Perfect shape. $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot in the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit.
If you're curling your toes, then
They don't
Too
fit.
small.
They don't fit, do they?
Only if you're trying to get it in.
Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. Oh, Jeremy, she says, I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit. I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. They're okay, I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money, and I squeeze them on and limp to the bus. Why is he praying that his toes will fall off?
They're so tight.
Yeah, and if they fall off, then they'll fit.
But they never did. But you need to
they
know.
look like that fit in that picture.
At home a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet shuffling around in my 2 small shoes. Sometimes shoes stretch, I say. Grandma gives me a hug. They might stretch, but are they going to get any longer?
No.
I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfrey's to school instead. One day, during math, I glance at Antonio's shoes. One of them's taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. Why do you think, raise your hand, Antonio didn't laugh? Why do you think Antonio didn't laugh, Cooper?
Because his shoes were falling apart.
And did he have those shoes?
No.
He was probably in the same boat that Jeremy was. Probably his family, if he's having to tape his shoes to wear them, do you think his family can afford to buy him some new shoes?
Nope. No.
Probably the same. They only have enough money for what they need, not the things they want. Kinley, what were you going to say? That's right. And Kylie, last one.
That's his friend.
No, his friend. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoes smacked the concrete every time he jumps. I think, I'm not going to do it. When he leaps off the swings, I'm not going to do it. We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. So he was thinking it, and then it actually came out of his mouth. What's he not going to do? Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. What does that mean, to spy something?
Look.
You see it, yes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asked. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. That night, I'm awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time.
It'd be cool if they fit.
He stayed up until morning.
He's really having to think about this. This is a hard decision. These are the shoes he wants. Okay. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in the front of his door, push the doorbell, and run.
Why is he running?
It's a ding dong ditch. Ding dong ditch.
Stop. I think he's doing it so he won't change his mind and go back and get the shoes. At school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. So you can be happy and mad at the same time. What do we call that?
Sweet and
Bittersweet. We got two feelings at the same time. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there's snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's then I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, "Thanks." I smile and give him a nudge. Let's race.
He's winning.
So did the shoes what made Antonio fast? That made Jeremy fast. No, it's his legs. It has nothing to do with the shoes. All right. I love that story.
Me too.
He had a hard decision to make. It was a hard decision for him to make, but he decided to make the right decision. It is a good word. Okay, so real quickly, we're gonna do this together. Hold up your hand. Somebody wanted, but so then. All right, raising your hand. Keep your hand down here and you can raise with your other hand. Who was somebody?
Germany.
Raise your hand. Taylor? Wanted. What did he want, Preston? Those shoes. But why could he not get those shoes? Evie? They were too expensive. So, what did he do? Hudson? Thrift store and found a pair. Then
They were too small.
too small, so he gave them to Antonio. That's a way to summarize a story. Somebody wanted, but so then. One day, I'm going to give you one of these, and you're going to pick a story, and you're going to have to tell me the summary. Somebody wanted, but so then. So we're practicing right now. I have these already run off. We're not going to do it today, Brenna. We're going to practice several stories before I give you one, and you get to pick a story of your choice to do one of these on.
You have to. Can you make one up?
No, it has to be a story that you're summarizing.
If you
We're not doing it today, but we're practicing it right now. We're going to practice it with the next several stories so that you'll be able to do one on a story that you read, a summary. All right, so what you have to do now is your handwriting and adding your vocabulary words. Everybody look right here, just like yesterday. Do not glue this in there just like that. Trim around it. Then put it in. Nudge, to gently push or lightly touch. You might nudge someone to let them know it's their turn. Why else might you nudge someone? And you say, I would nudge someone, and then you write what you would do. Okay? Just tell me one time you would nudge someone.
because it was his turn to bat.